What's up, guys? It's your boy Grimreminder09 giving you the draft analysis for UBC Season 5. So, I'm confirming the monthly madness is going to be in this season of the UBC, as you all know on Twitter. This season, we're going to talk about what I drafted, what going to be different from this season, and so on and so on. First mod on the list, if I can actually load, is Tapu Koko, which Tapu Koko is a pretty cool electric and very type Pokemon with the base speed of base 130 speed, which is really good for most of the time. It's gonna outspeed things, including things at max speed, and some base 95 attack and base 115 physical attack, while its defenses are pretty average with 70 and 80 all around. I picked this Pokemon because this Pokemon is fast, is a good sweeper, it's a strong electric type Pokemon because electric terrain doubles its electric type attacks by 50% and also prevents sleep, which can hurt one of my members of my team, which we'll get on later. Koko has some pretty good moves. It has some pretty good supported moves such as Taunt and Toxic, as well as Heat Wave, which we're not going to be focusing, but we are going to be focused on Taunt and Nature's Madness, because Nature's Madness can lower the opponent's HP, and Tapu Koko does force the switch-ins, so if you do go against an opponent that will be switching out a lot, we can go out into Tapu Koko and just completely annihilate people with it. I think Tapu Koko will be one of the most dangerous threats on anyone's team. People need to be respected, otherwise this is a proud member of the Monster at this. Now this one I'm actually pretty excited for, Volcarona, and this is also our Z user, so that means that with this we have so much playability. With Volcarona's good setup option with Quiver Dance and his good move pool with Fire Blast, Bug Buzz, Giga Drain, Hurricane, Psychic. There's a ton of options we can run with Z move. His support option isn't really all that the best. Toxic Tailwind is nice, but I don't consider Volcarona a good support because yes, his spit depth is pretty good, but his physical attack is pretty awful. Sifty, which means it will get punished by pretty much ground types. We really love it till the easy, but the build the setup makes it so buttoning because base 100 is the same base speed as Mega Charger, except it just has some setup options. Basically, we have so many versatility. We play with Volcarona in his sets. We can play so many playstyles with this week, making this very unpredictable and very deadly to a lot of people's teams, especially in this generation since Z moves actually pretty much buff Volcarona significantly. The next Pokemon that I want to talk about is Absol, which is base 130 attack with relatively average stats. It's a good dark type and does have some pretty cool abilities such as Pressure and Super Luck and Justify. Super Luck is mainly we're going to be focusing on because crits is nice. This is going to make our moves that are not high chance to crit even stronger. Not only that, it does have some decent move pool. It does get Fire Blast. It does get Dank Pulse, or even Dark Pulse, really. I call it Dank Pulse now. Ice Beam. It does have Player Song. Does get Magical. Does have some pretty good setup options, and Super Power. It does have a pretty good ton of move pool to use on this Pokemon, even though it's not the greatest start type. It's actually a pretty nice start type, and it's pretty good in RU. Most of these bonds are going to see it probably from a lower tier. So the next Pokemon, which again I'm excited for, is Mega Charizard Y. This is going to be one of the most biggest notorious threats, just the same as Volcarona. This is straight up something that you don't sleep on. People may think that, oh well, we have all this and stuff, I have this. No, Mega Charizard Y hits just as hard as a Mewtwo. So basically, especially when you're in the sun, you basically can nuke or just take something to 50%. Defensive Lottie doesn't even want to come in on Fire Blast because Fire Blast already does 50%. Latios would definitely not take it. Maybe Latios, but Latios no. You definitely don't want to hard switch in your sweeps because they still gonna take damage. Greninja doesn't even want to come in. Water type, sometimes water types can't beat it because it can use Solar Beam effectively, which can immediately cold them upon switch-ins. The thing about Mega Charizard that I'm also gonna like about is that its move pool is interesting and we can always change it. Earthquake is extremely viable. Dragon Pulse can be used on Dragon types. Agent Power and Air Slash are pretty good moves. So if we have issues with other flying and fire types, we can cold them with ease. Focus Blast is nice for T-Tars and Heatrans. but it's more of a risk though. It does not have any. It can use HP Ice or HP Electric or HP Grass, which are really good options. Rock Slide is not a bad option. Tailwind is a phenomenal good option to have. Makes it so Charizard has another role it can do. This may be a potential Tailwind setup, which is really potential. There's a lot of ways we can play around with Charizard. Why? And since Charizard's special attack is sky high, most of the special attack moves are really gonna be good. So I'm really excited for this. This mod's pretty cool to have on my team, and this is gonna come to the next Pokemon, Venusaur. Now, if you all look at Venusaur, Venusaur is a very bulky Pokemon with pretty average stats all around. And if you look at this move pool, it does got some really decently good offensive move pool in both on the physical side and good setup in Sword Dance and Growth. Now, what makes Venusaur really good and works in this team is because of Chlorophyll, and Chlorophyll is going to be benefit for Charizard as well as Pokemon fire boosting moves. With Venusaur on the squad, it actually gives us another good option and a great decent defensive option unless there's no fire types on the team. With Venusaur around, Venusaur's typing will prevent any seeds from being used in the game. Venusaur is pretty decently bulky. It's not the bulkiest of grass type, but it's actually a pretty good grass type. You don't want to sleep on Venusaur because Venusaur's versatility is what makes it a really good Pokemon and is a great proud member of the Monster Marathis. So with the return of one of the most greatest annoying Pokemon is a Mulamula. And Mulamula is such a fantastic mon. You don't even necessarily have to put match HP. It's just such a good Wish Passer. This is honestly the best Wish Passer in the entire series because it just gives you one of the most best wishes due to its high HP stat, and you don't even have to invest that much in HP just to make it strong. Like, I think max HP is just pointless because its HP is already 165. Sure, you may say, well, what about Blissey? Well, Blissey needs it because it has no defense. You can say the same thing, but a Mulamula is a water type, which weaknesses are electric and grass, which that's pretty much it. Or if you have freeze dry, any kind of move called freeze dry, then you can negate that. But other than that, a Mulamula checks a lot of things so well. It doesn't do well against setup mons though. That's the one that you gotta understand a Mulamula, even though it is kind of like a stall mon, but in right hands it can be very effective. You don't just use it to start, you just use it to check things and then just cripple things and then dip. But I think a Mulamula returning to the team will actually make a good addition because it actually shuts down the water weaknesses we have. It does kind of increase an electric weakness, but we do have Venusaur, which we do have potential. We don't have to run the spit down, we can also run physical. It depends on what investment do we have on a Mulamula that really matters. So now we're going to go to the two odd picks of the group, which is Comfey and Xatu. We're going to start with Comfey. And Comfey is a decently good support mod. We're trying to be able to give all of its healing moves at +3, which means Draining Kiss is always going to be priority, which is good. Comfey does have some pretty good usage. You could argue say that Dazzling Gleam is a lot better, and it's again base 100 speed, so it's a decent support mod. It can actually be used in a lot of ways in meta. I think Comfey is just one of those like mods that are, it does gonna get outclassed by a lot of other stuff, but it does have some way to make it stand out. It's good in RU actually. It faced competition with Florges at the moment, but I think Florges is always gonna be better because it's much stronger than Comfey. As Comfey base 82 attack isn't really that high. It's decent, but it's not amazing. Other than that, Comfey is a pretty interesting Pokemon. We did need a fairy type, and this is the perfect opportunity to try it out. And if we don't like try out, we can run Natural Cure, which I don't think we're gonna really need Natural Cure since it already gets Aromatherapy. The next Pokemon, which is the odd pick of the group, is Xatu. Mainly, I pick Xatu for two reasons. The Magic Bounce was pretty nice. It's gonna be nice to hard switch in, and it has the flying typing that we need on the team. I think the flying typing is actually going to be really helpful since we don't really have ways to do it grounds very effectively unless we run a Sugar Berry and stuff. But Xatu is a very nice psychic and flying type. It's not the best Magic Bounce user, but it's a pretty decent one, and I was just trying to conserve points so I can get the picks I want, so I didn't really go for the high tier pick and go crazy with it. So Xatu has some decent base stats for an NU mod standpoint. It's not good in OU at all, like no one fucking uses it in OU, but its move option is pretty interesting. Even though it's not the best defensive, its offensive move pool is pretty interesting. Getting access to Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam is not bad either. So you don't have to rely on Psychic. You could just run Calm Mind, Dazzling Gleam, because very honestly does the exact same thing as Psychic, except it hits more and it just gets walled by Steel and Poison. But it's not a big deal. It does get access to Defog, which give us another Defog options to have. Foul Play is a pretty good move. Giga Drain is not bad. Nightshade is probably going to be the one that we will be focusing more on, because Nightshade basically hits, it's basically the same thing as Seismitos. Doesn't really matter what the level is, since everything's going to be at level 100 regardless. So it's going to be a pretty nice move to use. It does have access to the screens and Magical and Heat Wave. Pretty good, another good use of his move pool. Shadow Ball is not bad. Another Tailwind set above. And of course, Toxic and Trick and Wish. We're not going to really focus on Wish Passion because I don't think Xatu is a good Wish Passion, but it does have some pretty decent support moves, which kind of makes up for not being the oddball of this. I don't think it's going to necessarily be the main success battle. I hope it does if we play right with it, but it all depends on how we play with this out team. I'm going to have to do some research on this mon before I start using it in the field. Now, next Pokemon I'm really excited is the return of Scizor, technically, because last season we had Mega Scizor. This season we have regular Scizor with Defog, Roost, what I'm saying. Anyways, regular Scizor, what makes regular Scizor better is because we have the use of items. Being able to use Rocky Helmet, Life Orb, Leftovers, Bandit, maybe AV, build items such as Shed Shell or Orca Berry. Really kind of helps this Pokemon out. Orca Berry makes it so we don't die to fire type attacks if we bulky build, while Shed Shell prevents us from being trapped from oncoming HP Fire Magnezons, HP Fire Magneton if people are running that. Scizor is a good defog mon. It's a really good bulky mon. It does have the abilities, and guess what? Even if it's not Mega, it still can put in work. People do sleep on this mon a lot, and people shouldn't be, because this mon is still really good. It's great. It has great utilities, great healing, good setups, great move option. It's just an all-around a good Pokemon. Like, good typing, easy to build around teams, easy to plan. There's so many things you can do with Scizor. It's not even funny. Scizor offers a lot of versatilities in team building. And this Pokemon, which is not going to offer a lot, is Mimikyu, because despite Mimikyu having a great ability and a decent stats, the downfall of Mimikyu is its move pool isn't really the greatest. Like, sure, Destiny Bond is nice, but I'm not really a fan of Destiny Bond. That's just my playstyle. I'm pretty sure people may disagree, say it's fantastic, but not really. It seems to me situational, but I kind of like this mon, because this mon disguise can actually come into clutch in this league, and I feel like this is going to be the one mon that people are going to be sleeping on. There's so many options we could run. We could run Willow, which you probably see. Warhammer is not a bad option if we have issues with like really strong water type Pokemon. It does have priority in Shadow Sneak, which is not strong, but at +2 it can actually be devastating. Taunt is a great option to break walls. There's so much things we can do with this Pokemon. It's not even funny. I think this Pokemon has some pretty good, interesting moves. There are some other moves that we don't really care. Trick Room, which we don't really have. Well, we kind of do. Well, actually, no. We have too many fast mons, so never mind. Fuck Trick Room. Other than that, this was going to be a potential Z move user, but we just Pokemon was 10 times much better. But since we can only pick one, Volcarona was the better choice of the match. So going to the final two, Empoleon is a great example of a good Pokemon that can sit up rocks and defog. Its typing is actually pretty decently, despite having common weaknesses to fighting and ground. Empoleon can work in a lot of teams. It also gives us another good option in both the physical department and a special department. So we can play around with Empoleon, because Empoleon has a pretty good versatility around moveset. Its offensive options is great. Is support option, which is Roost, Toxic, no, not Roost, War, Defog, Toxic, Protect. It's pretty decent. Not War is great for breaking through subs and stuff. Sleep Talk is nice too, but I don't doubt we're gonna run that. Toxic is a great move, obviously. Force to switch out a couple of times, and if they don't have any poison types, we can always poison them with the Toxic. The setup option is not bad. It does have priority Aqua Jet, but it doesn't really have a solid. Oh yeah, it does get Waterfall, but there's so many ways we can play around with Napoleon, and I think this is going to be a season where we can start experimenting what potential we can run with Napoleon. So I'm happy to class. And finally, the true wild card, the real Mr. Wild Card, the Mr. Paino himself is Smeargle. Now, Smeargle is a very interesting Pokemon because what it offers to the team, the only thing that he offers other than outside wise is he's the only Webber on our team. Because again, Smeargle can learn any moves in the game because of Sketch. So we can honestly play with so many mind games. Having access to Keen Shield is also phenomenal because it drops people physical attack, which can come in clutch moments. I think Smeargle has potential of being a decently good setup, but I don't think it's gonna work all the time if we do need webs. If they have no option to get rid of webs, then well, that's fine. I don't have really the best experience with Smeargle, but we are going to play around with Smeargle this season. And having a little good Pokemon that has a lot of versatility, despite its offensive stat, its HP, and it's the only thing you really need to go for, which is not good, which is only good for like suicide leads, but it's something we have to deal with it on a daily basis. But I think Smeargle has the potential of being, it's just another good option of a setup option, like a purely setup option, and potentially a spinner option, which I don't think spinning Smeargle is even that good, but it can learn it. So that's pretty much the team. That's really it. It's going to be really short and sweet. I'm not going to really go into depth. Next week is we officially start the matches. And the first opponent I'm going against is the champion. So I don't know why I always got to go against one of the veterans or some hard player in the fucking season. Why did this much always happen? But anyways, we're gonna be prepped for this season. We're gonna be hyped for this season. I'm actually gonna do the best I can. I'm gonna do a lot better. I'm gonna promise myself I'm gonna play a lot better, and don't get too scared of some of the fights I go up against. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna start posting some Overwatch stuff sometime soon. I'm gonna post something special. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the first week of team building. Peace.